This is number 33 for the MAT 1033 Final Exam Review. The question says, a woman bought some large frames for $13 each and some small frames for $5 each at a closeout sale. If she bought 19 frames for $143, find how many of each type she bought. So we need to start this by labeling and defining our variables. So for one, we know she bought large and small frames. So instead of writing each time large frame and small frames, we're going to call the large frames X and the small frames Y. Totally up to you. I just want to write it on here so that way I'm more organized. You can call it whatever you want. So the question tells us she bought some large frames for $13 each and some small frames for $5 each. In total, she bought 19 frames for $143. So given this information, we defined our variables, kind of wrote down everything we needed. So we're going to start off by writing some equations here. So the question said that she bought large frames for $13 each. So 13 times however many large frames she bought, plus $5 each for the small frames. So $5 times however many small frames she bought, which is Y. And that'll give us our total of $143. So 13 times however many large frames she bought, which we are going to call X, plus 5 times however many small frames she bought, which we're going to call Y, is going to give us our total of $143. So that's one piece of information that we're going to use to write an equation. Next thing we're going to use to write our next equation is total she bought 19 frames. So however many large frames she bought, which is going to be X, plus however many small frames she bought, which we know is going to be Y, equals 19. That gives us two equations, so we now have a systems of equations that we can solve for just like usual. You can either solve by elimination or substitution. On a previous problem, if you look back at number 30, we solved that using elimination. So this time I'm going to solve by using substitution. Either way you do it, you're going to get the same answer, so whatever one you like better. I'm going to use substitution for this one though. So taking this, I need to substitute either X or Y. So I need to get X equals or Y equals. Either way, it doesn't matter. I'm going to solve for Y. I'm going to use this second equation because it's already kind of easy to get Y equals. So the only thing I have to do for this bottom equation is to move this X over. So I'm going to subtract X from both sides. That will leave me with the equation of Y equals X minus X cancels. By the way, it goes to 0. So Y equals 19 minus X. Y equals 19 minus X. So now that I got Y equals, I can take this equation and plug it straight in to the equation on the top. So we're left with 13X plus 5 times Y. We know our Y value is 19 minus X equals 143. So again, instead of Y, we just substituted, we plugged in. Instead of Y, we know Y equals 19 minus X. Reason being, now I only have X's, I can solve for X, just like normal. So in doing so, we're going to distribute this 5 to both terms. And we are left with 13X plus 5 times 19 will leave us with 95. 5 times negative X is negative 5X equals 143. Combining like terms, 13X minus 5X will leave us with 8X plus our 95 equals 143. Still trying to combine like terms, I need to move that 19 over within 143. I need to move my two constants together. So we're going to subtract 95 from both sides. 95 minus 95 goes to 0, so those cancel each other out. We are left with 8X equals 143 minus 95, which is 48. Last but not least, getting x by itself. We're going to divide both sides by 8 because it's 8 times x. So in order to get x by itself, we have to do the opposite. So 8 divided by 8 goes to 1. Those cancel each other out. And we are left with x equals 48 divided by 8, which is 6. So we know x equals 6. Remember, we said x is the number of large frames. So we know she bought 6 large frames. It's really important to make sure you label your answers. That way I know which one is which, or whoever's grading it, or you know which is which. So 6 large frames. Halfway done. Now we have to find out how many small frames she bought. So if we know that she bought 6 large frames, I can plug in that x value to either equation. I'm going to plug it in to the bottom one just because that one looks a little easier. So x plus y equals 19. So 19 total frames. We know our x value, she bought 6 large frames. So 6 plus y equals 19. Solving this for y, we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. Because 6 minus 6 gives us 0, they cancel each other out. And we're left with y equals 19 minus 6, which is 13. So we got y equals the number of small frames. So we know she bought 16 small frames. All right, so final answer. We know the question asks us how many of each type she bought. We know she bought 6 large frames and 13 small frames. So total, that's 19 frames. If you were to do the math on that, at $13 each for the large frames and $5 each for the small frames, that'd be a total of $143. So that's number 33 on the MAT 1033 final exam review.